Against all odds. A Kassup Studio story, stories that heal the world. Welcome to Kassup Studio, where stories become medicine and imagination becomes possibility. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share. It helps us keep bringing stories that heal the world. Here is a short summary of today's story. This is a tale of a woman named Chisomo who stood between life and death, refusing to surrender. When the doctors said it was over, she whispered back, "Not yet." What follows is her journey through illness, faith, love, fear, and the quiet miracles that carried her back into the light. Now let us begin. There are days when the body whispers a secret the soul already knows, when the sun is warm on your face, yet your bones feel winter. This is the story of a woman who heard that whisper and answered with a prayer. The doctor said it was the end, but she whispered, "Not yet. I am operating in God's time." Her name was Chisomo, meaning grace. She lived where mornings smelled of wood smoke and wildflowers, where neighbors greeted the light like an old friend. In her kitchen, Chisomo's kettle hummed softly. On the windowsill, a small plant reached toward heaven. And one ordinary morning, the world embraced her despite her uncertain situation. Her day began with a tiredness that would not listen to rest, a cough that refused to obey even after tea, a weight behind the eyes, a tremble in the hands. She told herself, "It's just the season." But the season grew teeth. Still, her faith did not waver. She walked to the clinic, a corridor that smelled of disinfectant and hope. Names were called, time stretched like rubber. A nurse with kind eyes took her blood pressure. A doctor listened for a long time, his stethoscope cold as rain. Tests, needles, x-rays, her name on file, her future on hold. When the results came, the room felt too small for the truth. The doctor cleared his throat, that little prelude to storms, and spoke words that break a family's grammar. "This is serious, aggressive, we must prepare for all outcomes." Chisomo nodded, the way people do when the ground becomes water and they must learn to walk on waves. On her way home, she bought oranges, though she could not taste them. At home, she sat by the window, watching light crawl across the wall like a prayer walking. At dusk, she whispered her first reply, "Not yet. I am operating in God's time." Illness rearranged the furniture of her life. Days were suddenly measured in pills and procedures, nights in breaths counted like beads on a rosary. Her sister Tandy came some mornings. Her neighbor Yusuf brought soup and quiet jokes that landed like small birds. The church ladies came once a week, singing hymns that smelled of childhood. Chisomo still loved singing, though nowadays her voice trembled off-key. Yet there were hours when the house grew too big and empty, when pain scribbled its name across her chest and the mirror showed a stranger. In those moments she thought of her mother, of hands that soothed fevers with cool cloths and old songs. She thought of lake water, of learning to float, how the trick was not to fight the water, but to trust it to hold you. Now, instead of water, she held tightly to God. Every day Chisomo wrote 3 words on a scrap of paper and taped it to the wall, "Not yet." She placed a glass of water beside her bed as if it were a cup of wine. She asked the sun to visit her face, even for a minute. She decided to become a student of her own healing through her faith in God. Healing, she learned, is not always quick. Sometimes it is a long-distance whisper that takes the scenic route. It is sleep when you would rather scroll. It is tears that wash the ache without asking permission. It is laughter arriving late, yet still welcomed. Tandy brewed baobab and moringa tea, tart, green, and faithful. Yusuf prayed the midday prayer and left a bag of sweet potatoes at her door. Children from the block drew pictures, stick figures with capes, and one bright crayon letter that said, "You are our superhero, Auntie Chisomo." Those small gestures softened her pain, if only for a moment. Over time, the hospital became her second home. Doctors changed tactics, nurses changed shifts, and Chisomo changed her language from "Why are you failing me?" to "Thank you for trying," from "I'm scared of you" to "I'm on your side." And in that small change, a door somewhere clicked, and God entered. There was no trumpet, no lightning, just a morning when the cough was quieter, the appetite less shy, the eyes a little less glassy. She walked to the end of the corridor and back, a parade of 10 steps. Tandy clapped as if she had crossed a nation. Chisomo laughed, and the room remembered how to echo. Another week, she could keep soup down. Another, she watched the whole afternoon without falling into sleep's dark well. Another, she watered the plant on the windowsill, and it bowed as if to say, "Welcome back." She learned to bless the ordinary, the good spoon in the drawer, the neighbor's radio playing an old tune, the way steam rose from porridge like prophecy. But healing is a crooked river. There were setbacks, fevers that negotiated, nights when fear rehearsed its worst lines. She let the fear speak, then answered with her vow, "Not yet. I am operating in God's time." Slowly, a calendar of small miracles gathered, a clean scan here, a better number there, a doctor smiling. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Chisomo smiled back. "I'm learning to be alive on purpose." One dawn, before the world named itself, Chisomo dreamed of the lake. Mist braided the water. Her mother stood on the shore, skirt wet to the knee, eyes bright as first light. "Daughter," she said, "when you floated as a child, what did you learn?" Chisomo answered, "That I do not hold the water holds me." Her mother nodded, "And who holds the water?" Chisomo looked at the sky, the hills, the breath between them. "Love and God," she said. Her mother smiled, the way dawn smiles at every window, and in that moment Chisomo felt peace. "Then float, my child, work yes, but float, let love and God do the holding." With renewed strength and faith, Chisomo's health began to rise, slowly but surely. Eventually she was discharged. When she arrived home, a banner greeted her in careful letters, "Welcome back, Auntie." The new Chisomo bought flowers for her table, not because she needed them to live, but because living deserved to be celebrated. She placed them gently in a jar that had once held pickles and now held hope. Their petals glowed, soft yellows and deep reds, like tiny suns rehearsing a brighter tomorrow. Neighbors came in twos and threes, carrying gifts wrapped in newspaper, bananas, soap, a loaf of bread. Tandy arrived with a pot of stew big enough to feed a small village. Yusuf came last, shy as always, and handed her a packet of seeds. "For your windowsill," he said, "for whatever God decides to grow next." That evening, as the sky lowered its golden eyelids and the world prepared to sleep, Chisomo stood in her doorway. She breathed deeply, a full breath, the kind illness had stolen from her for months. The air smelled of rain-soaked dust and warm charcoal fires. She whispered, "Thank you, I am still here." The next Sunday she returned to church. The moment she stepped inside, the congregation froze, not out of shock, but out of awe. People had prayed for her in whispers, in tears, in fasting, in faith. And now here she stood, thinner, softer around the eyes, but unmistakably alive. The choir began a hymn without planning to. Voices rose like birds released from a net. Tandy cried openly. Yusuf clasped his hands in gratitude. Children ran to hug her legs. When the pastor gently invited testimonies, Chisomo walked to the front slowly, each step a declaration. She faced the people who had held her name in their prayers. Her voice was low, trembling, honest. "I came here today not because I am strong," she said, "but because God held me when I was too weak to stand." Her breath steadied. "The doctors spoke their truth, but I spoke mine, and my truth was this: not yet. I am operating in God's time, not fear's time, not sickness's time, not the calendar's time, God's time." The church grew quiet enough to hear tears drop onto wooden pews. "I do not know what tomorrow holds," she continued, "but I know who holds me. And as long as he says, 'Not yet,' I will live, I will hope, I will praise, and I will float, the way my mother taught me, the way God holds the water." The congregation erupted, clapping, crying, singing. People stood, hands raised, hearts lifted. Not because the sickness had simply passed, but because faith had proven louder than fear. From that day onward, Chisomo's home became a lighthouse of sorts. Not a place without storms, no, but a place where light refused to surrender. She taught the children how to plant seeds. She taught the women how to rest without guilt. She taught the men how to speak softly when someone is hurting. And every morning before opening her door, she touched the 3 words still taped to her wall, "Not yet."